Thanks, Dante. Can you all hear me? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, great. So my name's Bridget Rodarty. I graduated from a local high school. I graduated from Coachella Valley High School, which is in the east end of the valley, way back when. I've been a practicing attorney since 2001. The last 14 years I've spent as a prosecutor with the Riverside County District Attorney's Office. And of the 14 years, I spent almost 10, just 2 months shy of 10 years prosecuting sexual assault and child molestation cases. I've had a great time with the DA's office, and going back to what Mr. Gomez said, is through mock trial, you get first-hand direct experience doing work that's really similar to what you have to do as an entry-level prosecutor, and I would say PD. You do a case evaluation, which is you learn the facts of a case. The cases are typically criminal matters. You get to question witnesses. You get to cross-examine witnesses for the other side. You're doing all of this in front of a judge, and these are real judges. Most of the time, these competitions are done in front of real bench officers, and you're doing all of this like in real time. So yes, you're not only developing public speaking, but you're thinking about how to compose what you want to say. You're doing that with in front of a judge, and to be able to have that, I mean, that's exactly what I would say our entry level misdemeanor prosecutors are doing right now. So I was kind of taken aback. I didn't think the mock trial program was this close to what we actually do. So it is a really good look into this type of career if you're interested. And not only that, it's a lot of fun. So you get to work together with and compete with other high schools. So everyone who's competing, right, they're all people in high school. And usually the fact patterns are super interesting, and it's really easy to get into. And on top of that, you have the additional thing of like a layer of drama. Like you learn the script, you learn how to like present, how to like project your voice. So it's just a lot of fun. This is my 6th year doing it, and I have a blast every year. So I'm really happy to be part of La Quinta's team. Stevie didn't have a team this year. I've in the past, for the past 5 years, I've helped Dante do CV's team, and I know he also did. He participated as the coach last year for La Quinta's team, and I'm really happy and excited to help La Quinta's team this year.
Oh, well, we're really excited to have you guys back. So, or have you for the first year and Mr. Gomez back. Just to let you guys know, I didn't know anything about mock trial, and Mr. Gomez contacted the school and said, hey, what do you think about this? And the department chair passed it over to me. I think I learned more last year than any of the kids. So I am really looking forward to moving in a better direction this year for me. And so I will hand out, that being said, I will give the link to the case when this meeting is finished. And also, I want to, at this point, we'll talk about practices on the days and the times. In the form that the kids filled out, the best days of practice were Monday and Wednesdays. And so I think whatever you guys decide in that regard, whatever time is okay with me for certain. And the way we can do that, we have to do practices on Zoom. But when people get their roles and how they're going to participate, I can construct breakout rooms and put certain people in there. So if you have attorneys asking witnesses questions or cross-examination, we can coordinate it that way. So that it's going to be convenient in that regard. And at this point, I can just turn it over to if one of the attorney coaches have other comments or questions, or any of the students, I think we can do that.
Well, why don't I just give a little background in terms of, I guess, the way it's structured. So I think Ms. Becker said right now, I think we have over 30 students who are interested. And that's great because we need a minimum of about 18 to 20 students just to be able to have a team. So basically, we will have two pretrial lawyers, one who will argue on behalf of the prosecutor, the other who will argue on behalf of the defense. And the pretrial attorneys, it's a very distinct role because you have to learn cases or that are in the packet. So the nice part is you get to learn how to review cases, how to cite them, how to take them apart to support your argument. And also it's a closed book. So it's not like you're going to be doing research online or looking up outside sources. Everything is contained in the packet that you get. Then we need approximately 2, sometimes 3 defense attorneys and 2 or 3 prosecutors. So now we're up to about 6 to 8 kids right there. And they act just like a real attorney would during a trial. One student will get up and give an opening statement to the judge and the scorers about what this case is about and what we're going to prove and talk about the various evidence. They'll prepare a direct examination of their witnesses, a cross-examination of the other side's witnesses. And then one of the attorneys, again, for each side, will get up and give a closing argument as to who is, if you're the prosecutor, obviously you're going to argue this person's guilty. If you're the defense, you're going to argue this person's not guilty. So that's the second group of kids. Then we need 8 witnesses, 4 witnesses for each side. So again, we need a lot of different students. The witnesses have to learn, obviously, their own roles. In addition to having the knowledge of what is contained in the role, obviously a little drama and acting out what the witness thinks and feels and says is pretty important. A big part of the score is actually how well the witness acts and how believable they are. Then also we have a bailiff who essentially acts like a courtroom deputy and walks around and tells people to be calm or quiet or don't be disruptive. We have a clerk who basically has to keep time because this competition is timed. You only have so much time to do every single thing, and you can't just keep going on and on. And then there's other alternative positions like a team manager, a publicist, and if we have enough interest, obviously we can have students fill those roles. We generally encourage the underclassmen, freshmen, and sophomores to maybe start off as a witness because the commitment level is a little bit less. But that doesn't mean that obviously if you're a senior and a junior and you just want to be a witness in terms of time commitment, that you can't do that. Obviously, the attorney roles require a lot more time, a lot more memorization. So typically people who are juniors or seniors go for those roles because of the extra time that's needed. In terms of this year's problem or packet, it's an interesting one. There's a gentleman by the name of Lee who is a YouTube star, and he is charged with burglary, first-degree burglary, breaking into a house and aiding and abetting. And basically, one of his followers broke into someone's house, and the DA or the prosecutor is accusing Lee of essentially encouraging it to happen, and then later assisting the follower from being apprehended by law enforcement. So it's an interesting problem. Obviously, Lee has pled not guilty. He's going to trial. The 4 witnesses for the prosecution are actually the person that broke into the house. They allegedly, under this problem, took a deal, and they're going to testify against Lee. The person whose house was burglarized, a police officer that arrested Lee, and a psychologist. And then for the defense, Lee is going to be a witness, the defendant, one of Lee's followers, another psychologist, and Lee's agent. And then the pretrial lawyers are going to have an argument before the trial begins that essentially will have bearing on the case itself. The prosecution is trying to argue that interrogation that took place by the arresting officer in Lee does not violate the Fifth Amendment, and therefore those statements should be admissible at trial. The prosecution is arguing that it was a custodial interrogation under the Fifth Amendment and that it should be excluded from the trial. So that's just kind of a general overview of kind of the big picture. As Ms. Rodarte kind of alluded to, when we're the prosecution, let's say, our defense side just sits and watches, kind of observes, and the other team will be the defense. And then when we are the defense, the opposing team will be the prosecution. So although we'll practice against each other, our defense and our prosecution, anytime we compete, we're only one side. And one interesting thing, as Ms. Rodarte said, she's been doing this over 5 years. I lost track how long I've been doing this. It's so much fun. But something that's going to be a first for everyone is that everything will be done on Zoom. Our practices, our competitions. It's my understanding that the Riverside County Board of Education, which runs this program, wants to make it fair for everyone. So any schools in the county that may have reopened and they actually might be back in session, they are not allowed to practice in person. They must practice via Zoom. All competitions will be via Zoom. And that's obviously so that everyone can have the same level playing field. So I'll turn it back over to Ms. Rodarte if she has anything that I might have missed. Again, we've been working together for a long time on opposite sides of the table sometimes, and obviously here at the same round table. So Ms. Rodarte?
No, I absolutely echo what you say. Every year, the fact pattern is a little bit different, and it looks like this year it's burglary. Probably the best thing, and echoing what Dante said, is that if you get your script and you are selected to be a witness, and we try to get as many people on board as possible, but we're essentially going through the parts of your script with you and help you remember that through the questioning. So the prosecutors and the people, the students who are acting as prosecutors and the students who are acting as public defenders or attorneys defending, I believe the defendant's name this year is Crotty, C-R-O-D-D-Y, Crotty. The attorneys representing Mr. or Miss Crotty, you're basically directed through your script or through the statement, the witness statement, through the questions of the attorneys. And so practices are pretty much that. We try to get as much detail, and you kind of take on the skin or the role of that witness. And the attorneys, kind of like what you see on television, is the attorneys stand up in front of the judge. They the witnesses actually will be in the witness stand, right? And you get up, I mean, it's all via Zoom now, but you're going to be asking questions and answering those questions, and it's in front of, both teams are doing this. So during the competitions, we'll either be the prosecution or will be the defense. And the other school, the other competing school, will take the opposite role. So if we're the defense, they'll be the prosecutors. If we're the prosecutors, they'll be the defense. And so you get to, as an attorney, ask questions of witnesses from the other team. And if your witnesses, Dante, this year is the rule that everybody gets to watch, the prosecution can watch, the other competing team can sit in and watch so that you can see the witnesses, because sometimes they're excluded. Is everybody allowed to sit in and watch the competitions happen?
That's a great question. I'll defer to Ms. Becker on that one.
I think that everybody does get to, they just have to be, of course, videoed off, and they have to be mic'd off. But to be honest, they're still working out all of the details and the formalities of the actual competitions. I know that our coordinator, kids, just to let you know, we have a coordinator in for Riverside County, and she's filtering everything down to us in real time as it happens. This is a first for everyone. So she is attending lots of meetings with all other counties, Los Angeles, San Diego, and they're trying to figure this out. So be patient if we don't know like exactly how it's going to be laid out. They will go through some dry runs to see how it's supposed to be done, what best suits everybody, because there's going to be, you guys know through Zoom that sometimes your own connection at home is a hindrance to lessons. So they're going to try to figure out how to work around those things, because it's pretty, they want to do it as fair as possible. So right now, everybody can participate. They will be videoed and mic'd off, except whichever team is participating will be videoed on. So that's how it's going to go for now. That's in that meeting that we had. So
yeah. And it really is a lot of fun. And Ms. Becker, I'm sure you've seen her, like watching other students, how they interpret their roles. I mean, we've had people, like kids on the stand, like cry, right?
Oh,
and
yes.
they get into it, and it's awesome. It's a good time.
Oh yes, kids, if they're witnesses, certain witnesses, they'll dress the part. They get really into the role, and it's so much fun. It's very interesting, and sometimes you just want to react, but you can't, because you're in a courtroom, and you just have to be very stoic. But kids really do an amazing job, and it's fun. It's a lot of fun. So I was going to ask the attorney coaches how we should do you think I should just share the link, share the case with everybody, and then have them read it? And then when we meet next week, they can, if they've read everything, then they can say what role they would like to take on. Is that how we should do it?
That sounds fun.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Maybe we should send it out, and then maybe Monday review the problem and let people think about it more. Maybe they have some questions, and then maybe Wednesday, maybe start making selections.
That sounds good. All right. So kids, do you have any questions? I'm trying to check the chat here, but basically we have a case, and it's somewhere between, I don't know, Megan, you got it. How many pages is it? Megan or Mario? Do you guys know?
When I looked over it, I want to say it wasn't as thick as last year's, but it wasn't too bad to read either.
Okay, so this is what should happen, kids. I share the case with you. You read over it. It tells you the different roles and witnesses and what they do and what their part is. And the thing is that you have to know the case, not just your role. You need to know all of the case anyway. Okay, so it's like looking through, and you will annotate it, and you'll become very familiar with that case. And then, like Mr. Gomez said, Monday, we'll meet again at this time, 3:30. You can ask any questions that you may have. We can send you into breakout rooms if you have specific questions, like you don't want to ask your questions out loud in the beginning. And then we can maybe think about roles and positions on Wednesday. What do you think?
That sounds good, Ms. Becker.
Okay.
Sounds good to me.
Who said, was that you, Megan?
Yes.
Okay, good. I'm getting some thumbs up here. So I will, let's see. I would absolutely recommend this to the younger. Somebody sent me a private chat. If you are a freshman, this is the time to get involved, okay? Don't think that you are too young to take on the role, because the way you will mature between the beginning of this and the end, and your personal growth will be tremendous. So if you are a freshman, this is the time for you, all right? Or a sophomore, or any of them, but freshman Certainly. We had 2 freshmen. They are returning. They're here. I don't know, Harrison or Mario, and then Megan, do you guys want to talk about your experience at all?
Sure, I'll do that. Okay, so basically, and mock trial came to LQ last year, and I was like, this is pretty interesting. So I went to a meeting, and I was like, I really like this. And then as I read the case and learned more about it, when I was reading it, it didn't feel like extra work. It was fun work to do because I wanted to learn about it, and I definitely enjoyed last year. We had less kids last year, so a lot of us did like double roles. So I was a defense and prosecuting attorney, and it was a lot of fun. I grew close with my teammates, and we all had fun. But when it came down to get serious, we were very serious, and we did a pretty good job, I think. And it was I came back this year because it was a lot of fun, and as I want to have that same amount of fun this year and learn more this year as well.
All right. Thank you, Megan. What about Harrison or Mario? Mario was our pre-trial attorney for both sides, for the prosecution and the defense. So he had to know, he became very familiar.
You forgot about Chelsea. She was prosecution for pretrial.
Oh, I just remember you because that first time my little freshman student got up there, and boy, was he amazing.
Yeah, it was a really cool experience. It's just all the things we get to learn and how we get to come together as a team, and it's just really cool.
Okay, well, I'm here to answer any questions. I will send out the link via email. I will also post it in Google Classroom. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again so you can see the Google Classroom join code. Here it is, right here at the bottom, the Google Classroom join code. I'm not going to put it in Remind, but I will send it in an email, and I will put it in Google Classroom. So make sure we have multiple modalities to communicate, because as you know, this morning, the internet was down, and I understand it was Spectrum's deal, but I was able to communicate with my students through Remind and my cell phone. So that was a good backup. And that's what we should do in this day and age of depending on technology for our interface and communication. So join the Google Classroom, and if there are any questions that you have, if you would like to ask the attorney coaches questions, I can set you up in a breakout room. If you would like that, just send me a private chat. And a bunch of people have been sending me private chats that say, hey, I'm just a freshman. Can I be a prosecuting attorney? And there are no limits. There are no restrictions. But you would want to make sure also that if you've decided to commit to that role, that position, you would want to put in the time and the practice to do it, because all positions are important. So you just really want to be prepared. Okay.
And if I could just say something, because maybe what I said about if you're a younger student, maybe you want to try to be a witness. So I only say that in a sense that we don't want anyone to feel intimidated, like, oh, well, I can't do this or I can't do that. But if you want to go for prosecuting attorney, you should go for prosecuting attorney. If you want to go for pretrial attorney, you should go for pretrial attorney. Ultimately, if you get in there and you're like, oh my God, this is a lot of work, or like, oh my God, I didn't realize I had to do all this, feel comfortable that you can switch roles. You can try to do something else. We have that every year where sometimes we have students who say, oh, I just want to be a witness. And then a couple months down the line, I said, you know what, Mr. Gomez, I think I want to be a lawyer. Or the opposite, We have some students who are like, I'm going to be a lawyer. And then after a couple of months of life and school, they say, you know, I'd rather be this other witness. So, you know, it's a lot of fun. It's also some work, but whoever you want to go for, you know, obviously you should go for it. That's one thing that hopefully you develop a mock trial, a strong self-confidence, where if you're going to set out to do it, you can set out to do it. And maybe if it's too much, you can play another role. So definitely, doesn't matter what class you are, jump in what you feel would be most appropriate.
All right, I'm checking out the chat here. I don't see anyone has questions or requests. So I think we can end the meeting. Just look for the an email with a link to the case, and I will put it in Classroom as well. Okay, so we will meet again on this Zoom link on Monday, okay? On Monday at 3:30, same Zoom link. Anybody opposed? Nay? Aye? All right. You guys, thank you for attending. I think you are in for a real fun time. And I'm glad to see a lot of faces, and I know there's about 15. What's wrong? Oh, I'll just mute her. Anyway, okay, so you're free to go unless you want to stick around and ask questions, and we will see you on Monday.
Thank you, Miss Becker.
All righty.
Hi, Miss Becker.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.